we have come to that point where we must begin to engage our friends from the creative industry. And today, there are 3 of them, we're 2 with us now, who are all directors of winning entries in the ARISEPlay Indieview short film competition for the month of June. In no particular order, they include Conqueror, Chukwudi, who directed Bus Ride, Adenrele Owen Olowu, director of Songs of Ubong, and Gbenga Adeoti, who directed Clippers. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you.
Good morning to you
Good
all.
morning.
I know this is going to be us using technology and happiness at the same time. So, to our friends joining us in the studio, we will all look at our cameras.
Yeah.
And our good friend Chugs, if you could continue looking at your camera too. It's going to be difficult for us, but for our viewers at home, this is actually going to be a very interesting segment. But let me introduce our guests to you. Our gentleman with us in the studio in the hat. This is Gbenga Adeoti, who has directed Clippers. Joining us also in the studio in this lovely blue shirt of his, we are actually matching, are we not, is Owen, who is the director of Songs of Ubong. And joining us virtually is Conqueror Chukwudi, who is the director of Bus Ride. So now that we all know ourselves, Gbenga, let me start with you. Talk to us about your film, your winning entry, what the film is about, and how proud you are, of course, to be a winner of the Indieview Short Film Prize.
Okay, first of all, I want to say I'm very happy to be here, and it's my first time doing this, so just pardon me for this. Yeah. So I'll start by saying that Clippers was a LCA, Ebony Life Creative Academy short film final project. So I happened to be a director. I entered for the academy, and I was a director. So it was a final project. So I was one of the directors. I have my co-director, who is Emla, and I happened to be the director. So the idea for Clippers was basically to showcase a female figure, try to project the strength of a female figure, and tell the skillfulness, what it entails, what being a skillful person entails, and all that.
Okay, that's a short one. It's a short film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a short film. Clipper is a short film for Ebony Life Creative Academy.
How long is it?
Yeah, it's about 13 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
13, okay.
Yes.
Owen.
Yes.
Let's talk about Songs of Ubong. That's your film. That's the one. That's the one that you have Waliujo starring in.
Yes, exactly.
And it's is it like a parody of Songs of Solomon? That's the
Exactly.
Tell us about it.
Songs of Ubong. It came about. We paid a visit to Waliujo, where he stays in Ibadan, and like I say, as a filmmaker, you should always think like an assassin. Always go with your equipment, your gear, ready to shoot.
Like an assassin.
Exactly. So I guess we were there, myself and my wife. We got there, and he was telling us about how he uses, I don't want to give his technique away, but he was telling us how he uses Songs of Solomon to remember scripts. So he knows everything from beginning to the end. So that sharpens his memory when he reads other stories and scripts. So he was saying that, and I was like, he just kept saying it, and I was looking around his house. And I was like, I mean, this is something that we could just walk about. And I thank God is always in the mood. He's a very creative person. And I just started putting things together. I brought out my gear. He was surprised I had all the gear. I was like, I'm always ready. And I said, okay, you're here, you're a man. There's a woman here. We know Solomon was very poetic, toasting and romancing here and there. So, and that was how I, started setting things up. And we shot within 5 hours and we were done. He just kept on saying some lines, and I just kept on adding them together. And I guess his house was a beautiful house, had gardens and everything. So we came up with Songs of Ubong because I didn't want to not really bore people, but I didn't want to, we've read the Bible, I know. Yeah. So let's find something else. So we brought up Ubong, somebody kind of Nigerian kind of character to fill in. Exactly. So that's how it came about, and I thank God it's where it is now.
All right, that sounds good, Femi.
Lovely. Well, Chugs, a very good morning to you, joining us virtually, as we can see there. Talk to us about Bus Ride, the story behind it, and what many viewers don't know before they've actually watched it.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me this morning. Boss Ride is an initiative of Home Vida Awards. It's an organization that creates a platform for young filmmakers. They do this every year. So it started last year. They called out for emerging filmmakers, and I entered into the program just like everyone did. And I made it to the final stage, I and my team. And the theme for that year was accountability for change. And so we came up with the story Boss Ride. And the story has to do with every Nigerian. We symbolize Nigerian as the boss and the citizens of Nigeria as the passengers in the bus. And we all are in a journey going to a destination. And Boss Ride, we see lots of the passengers, they are always complaining about one problem or the other, including the driver who complains about the bad roads. The government is responsible for his car not functioning properly, rather than him fixing it himself. Likewise, every other person complaining about wherever they are even breaking the rules, even right there in the bus. So, Bus Ride is a film that we use the film to tell the story to Nigerians that everyone is accountable for change. And the good thing about Bus Ride is we shot that bus in one spot. It was not moving. You can see the pictures shown on the screen. We shot the entire scene in one spot, and thank God it came out very well. And to God be glory, Bus Ride emerged winner of that set, because we were two competitors, and Bus Ride made it to that stage. And I'm so happy to tell that story.
All right, Ify, I would like you to talk more about the inspiration for this film. You know, the way you have narrated it is actually like, you know, when I was reading about the synopsis, you know, so moving, even though it looks like an advocacy kind of a film. So tell us about the inspiration about it. And then what do you think that Nigerians should, when they get to see it in numbers, you know, take out of this? Yes, you created a kind of parliament inside the bus, but when we talk to each other, not at each other, ideally what should come out of that sort of setting? What's the message, you know, ultimately?
Okay, first, like I said, the theme of that program was accountability for change, whereby everyone should see himself as a change rather than leaving it for another person to carry out. We created an instance, a scenario in that same bus where someone was complaining about the bad Nigeria, so to say, and he was eating in that bus, and he threw out the peels of the banana outside the road through the window. And there are laws governing that act to keep Nigeria clean, keep your environment clean. You complain about Nigeria, whereas you're breaking the rules right there. And those are the flaws we see, that amongst others. Those are the flaws we see in the Bus Ride. And so if anyone watching this film, we want to make them understand that you as a Nigerian, you as a citizen, you are responsible for so many things. You should not take laws into your hands. You should not do the wrong things. You know the rules, so why break it? And yet you go out there and say Nigeria is bad, or the society is bad, and it's making unnecessary complaints. You have a role to play in making Nigeria better, and that's entirely what Bus Ride is all about.
Gbenga, let's come back to you. Clippers, the barber shop, you know, has always been an interesting set in Nigerian movies. Is it like another bus situation where it serves as a springboard for, you know, for message to people, you know, because I know that's what the lead character there was trying to do in your film.
Yes, actually. So the lead character, who is a female, so imagine having a female baba in that kind of environment. We know how we've kind of segment the gender roles, basically having male and female, that this job is basically for male and this job is basically for female. So the idea, basically, when I came in contact with the script, I had an experience with somebody who is also a female, but who happened to be a female baba. So when she started her career as a female, she was a banker, Her name is Miss Fishy. She's in London right now. When she started her career as a female barber, people actually neglected her, like the kind of that she's a female, that they cannot have anything to do with her. Like, she was one of the foremost female barbers in Nigeria. And so when I came in contact with the script clippers, I was kind of, okay, this is somebody in an environment, in an urban environment, in a ghetto-like environment. And we know how a ghetto-like environment is. And we know that, we know the issue of unemployment and all that. Then we have a person, the character who is Utavier, who also happens to be in that environment. So it's kind of saying that, okay, in as much as there's unemployment, the rate of unemployment issue in Nigeria right now, it doesn't warrant you committing crime, which is where Utavier, the character, comes in. And she, because she's unemployed, she has to take up a skill, and that is where she being a barber comes in. So we are trying to kind of saying that, okay, in as much as the rate of unemployment is high, you still need to get a skill. So the message here is get a skill and do something for your community, for your environment, for your society.
So did you answer the question, or did the lead character answer the question, does a bad environment influence, what a person becomes ultimately?
Yes. So, for instance, I grew up in a very ghetto-like environment. I usually use myself as an instance that
ghetto-like environment.
Yeah, so people have this perception that the environment can influence you, but me, I have an opposite perception of that you allow the environment to influence you, affect you if you choose to, if you want to.
That is negatively.
Yeah, negatively.
Because you can be influenced positively.
Yeah, it can be
too.
influenced positively, it can be influenced negatively. So you choose what and how you want your environment to influence you. So we have Jumoke, who is the lead character. She's in that environment, but she did not allow that environment to influence her negatively. And here we have Utavier, who allowed the environment to influence him negatively. So it's like just opposing positive and negative together.
Alrighty, Owen, your film is actually a love story of some type, and usually love stories do very well in Nigeria, I'm sure, and your film has also done very well in the little time it's been out. But talk to us about the difference in how you've taken seemingly a modern twist on a traditional movie trope such as a love story, and how you kind of changed it with structures, the lighting, for example. The vast majority of the film is filmed in black and white. Talk to us about that, the decision too. Was it intentional? Is it something that you came up with in post-production? Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, so first of all, I like to say that film is an art, and one thing I'm key on is representing my art visually. And I call it the VAR, visual arts representation. And someone else will have represented the Songs of Solomon in a different way, very Shakespearean, maybe bring out somebody with robe, going to the old Roman Empire. But like I said, every director, every artist, so to speak, represents their own story in the way they visualize it. And it's always good to bring that to life. Now, you mentioned the black and white. Actually, when I shot it, the idea or the decision not to use black and white wasn't there. But while I was editing it, that was when I realized that I needed to make sure that the audience was not distracted because the gardens were very colorful, was beautiful. A few colors here and there to emphasize on, important things. But the black and white, they say black and white tells a story about the soul. So it doesn't distract you from the environment. And I needed to establish that relationship with the gardener and the landlord's daughter, just to make sure that they are the important people in this story. And, like I said, art is art. We just have to make sure that the way you visualize things, you bring it to life. So I just decided to go with what was there, because poetry is something that just drops. There was a time we're thinking maybe we should add a couple of more things. We're like, no, let's just leave it the way it is, because it came to mind that we were not prepared for it. We got there that day and it happened. And I feel real art is inspiration that just comes and drops right there and there. So you make it work and you just let it go that way. So Songs of Ubong, like you said, is a love story, but it's kind of confusing because we have a gardener who at some point he's saying all the Shakespearean words, he's so very romantic. Then when she brings him back to life, he has gone back to the Calabar intonation that he has, and it's like he wasn't the same person doing it anymore. So that just brought in a little bit of comic relief, you know, something to just bring us back to the Nigerian setting. There was a part where he was saying, Madam Nepa, don't bring light, so that we do not forget that we're still within our space, you know. So that's just how I visually represented the art. Yeah.
What do you think that this whole experience will bring to your career? And I'll ask Gbenga the same question too when he finishes, you know, in terms of your expectations going forward, in terms of what you're taking out of this, you know, success that you are recording with this competition.
Well, I think, first of all, the movie and a couple of other movies I've done, like I said, we're all storytellers. You know, we've all been telling stories since we're little. You know, when your father comes and says, "What did you do there?" You start narrating a story. You know, so when people feel, I'm not good with stories, there's nobody that's not good with story. When you tell a lie, you're telling a story. When you tell the truth, you're telling a story. So I think these movies, what I'm trying to portray to the Nigerian audience and to the world entirely is that, you know, we should bring out the art in the stories we tell. We shouldn't just stick to the script, you know, word for word and just say, oh, because they said an apple falls from the tree, that means I should show an apple. I don't need to do that. I could show a guy falling from a tree. I mean, it could, or just put a guy that is down in life or something. He just says something more than just what was read. So I think the Nigerian industry and, you know, the world in total, we need to understand that it is visual art. It is art. It is not just, you need to paint. Learn how to tell your story, paint your story through lights, camera, and the rest flows. So I think the opportunity that we've gotten, or I've gotten so far, is a stepping stone, and I believe that by God's grace, you know, not just short films, you know, feature films, hopefully, and, you know, we all want to make money from what we do. So at the end of the day, that's the target.
Shorts don't make money?
Well, now we're beginning to see that shorts actually shows your strength before you go into feature. I mean, if you could tell a beautiful story, in fact, to me, I feel it's more technical. If you could squeeze a lot of information into a small box, it shows how intelligent and how artistic you are with your craft.
Gbenga, what's your take on those ones?
Yes, I would say, like you said, a stepping stone, and I would believe that it should usher in greater opportunities, like creating future. For instance, and one of the challenges that we short filmmakers have is getting the market. Like I was discussing with a friend of mine that short film doesn't have a market here. So you do one short film, you do another one, you do another one, but there is no market. There is nobody to sell this movie to. So you're just doing film for doing sake and because you just love to do a movie. And then you know that, okay, I just want to do a movie. Maybe somebody might see it, and then you have this opportunity of doing a feature film. So we believe and we are hoping that maybe this would usher in that opportunity. Me, I'm more concerned about the opportunity for these short filmmakers to get a market and not necessarily getting an opportunity to do a feature film. Because the way the world is going right now, I believe people will move from these 2 hours plus films to wanting to watch just something brief. I just need something at this particular moment. And I'm just hoping that we will get there and we'll get the market here in this part of the world.
Okay, let me take you on those two, you know, issues. First is how much of the international film festival circuit have you explored? And secondly, before we go to, you know, Chuks, you said that people might move away from the long 2 hour, sometimes 2.5 hours kind of a film to shorter film. Will that be as a result of technological innovation, social media, or do you think that it would become a style that we will get used to?
I think I would say it's because of the technological advancement right now. For instance, you go on YouTube, you see a lot of award-winning short films. I consume YouTube a lot. I just want something for the moment. You are busy, maybe in your free space, you want something to consume for the moment. So I think people would move soon to that. And again, look at the films, the short films we're seeing right now. The production design is on point, the sound, everything. So it's more like I'm doing a short film. I was having a discussion with a senior colleague, and he was like, he wants to do a short film. And he's looking at the energy and everything I want to put into this short film, why can't I just make it a feature film? But then again, you come to the realization of cost, finance, and all that. Okay, you come to Nigeria's reality that you need to make money. And I think one of the motivation, one of the driving forces that would and want people to key into doing that short film, and if the market comes, you will see even the feature filmmakers coming to do that short film is the fact that, okay, there's money here, so let us get this money here.
I think we should go to Ife Chooks.
Please, we haven't forgot about you.
We're still with you.
Definitely. I mean, give us your thoughts on what we've been discussing here in the studio as it pertains to where you think audience preferences will be going to. Do you think they'll follow along the lines of what we're currently seeing, of people having a smaller attention span, perhaps preferring shorter episodes of longer pieces of content, or really enthralled by short films as opposed to longer length feature ones? Where do you think audience trends will be moving?
Everyone has his preferences. Some persons will like short, some persons will like features, some will like series. I personally, I don't like series. Any film that is more than 2 hours plus, I don't like it, because most times I can get very, very busy. So I think it's just based on individual preference. But then I hope and wish that films, generally like short films, would have a market where anyone who desires to consume short films will just go there and take advantage of that platform. And for the filmmakers who make those short films, like my colleagues here have rightly said, short films are like experimental platforms. Just want to experiment, okay, yes, I can do this. And hoping that that short film bring open more opportunities for us, just like myself. I can't wait, actually. So we hope we get a market for it. We hope we get the market for it, and we'll be glad that it comes to reality.
What inspires you, Ife Chooks, and do you model your art after anybody in Nigeria in particular?
One of my mentors, I'm still yet to model his art, is Stanley Oyukure. He tells films with light. I've attended lots of his master classes. I should attend one in, I think, a month from now. I'm yet to make that kind of film. That's the only person I've not really had the opportunity to make his kind of films. Then there are a lot of filmmakers I also admire, but then the opportunity has not yet presented itself to make those kind of films. Like I said, we do short films just to tell the world, oh yes, I'm a film director, I can do this. But this is like my CV. Yes, this is like a CV. Just use this, see me as this. You understand? So once the opportunity presents itself, of course, there are lots of filmmakers I want to imitate. A lot of them, a lot.
Mention one Stanley's film that you think that others who may not know him that well, will want to go and check out for the sort of style using lights that you mentioned in his art.
Okay, there's one Trace of Idausa Trails. Yes, something like that. That's one of his films. And there's a short film one of his recent short films. Skipped my memory now. It's won an award in the AMVCA.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll come to you just as we finish our interview here.
I hope so.
But gentlemen, I do think this is a nice place for us to end this conversation. I want to first and foremost extend a huge congratulations to all three of you and say that we are looking forward to seeing what else you come up with in the future. Thank you very much for joining us on the morning show.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.